Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Susan and today I'm going to be bringing you the top 5 authors that actually intimidate me the most. Now when I say intimidate, I don't mean that like, oh, the thought of reading this book is like terrifying. No, when I say intimidate, I mean like trying to read these books by these authors actually somewhat gives me anxiety. Now, none of these books today are like very unpopular, and neither are these authors. A lot of these authors are people's favorites, but I own, in 1 or 2 cases, I own multiple books by these authors, and I just can't find myself like reaching for them, and it's not for lack of wanting to. I've wanted to read all of these books multiple times, and I've attempted to read actually every single book I'm going to hold up. I've attempted to read at least once, and just the thought of trying to get into this author has been like, oh no, if I don't like this, like I'm going to be crucified. So anyway guys, let's jump right on into it. First author I'm going to be talking about today is a well-loved author and is one that is more of an honorable mention, but that is V.E. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab. Now, I'm holding up A Darker Shade of Magic, which I own this book by her. I also own the second book, A Gathering of Shadows. I own This Savage Song. I own, not our dark duet, the Dark Vault, I believe it's called, which is both the archived and the unbound, featuring a short story. And the reason she is actually more of an honorable mention is I am currently reading the archived and the bind up of the archived, and yeah, that's why she's more of an honorable mention, because I am finally starting to dive into her work. But what has intimidated me so much is specifically this series, and I think This Savage Song has been so beloved here on BookTube, and everybody I watch has actually really loved this series and really loved her work, and they just swear by her writing, and I've been terrified to jump into it because especially like this series is more of a higher fantasy, and high fantasy already intimidates me in and of itself. And none of the books are short. Like they're shorter, like this is 400 some pages, and I've read longer, I've read shorter, but like, yeah, no, this one definitely is more intimidating to me than her other works. The next author I'm going to talk about is once again another beloved author, and I own this entire trilogy as well as one other book in one of her other series, or in a duology by her, and that is Leigh Bardugo. So I own the entirety of the Grisha trilogy. I own Six of Crows, and I'm interested in the idea. I've actually read, I think, maybe like 30 pages of Shadow and Bone, and I was enjoying what I read. It's just, once again, it's the high fantasy, and that's part of what intimidates me so much about her writing, as well as same with Six of Crows. It is a higher fantasy. Plus, like, everybody loves it. I don't think I've heard much negative opinions on Six of Crows, and I've heard a few on Shadow and Bone, but like, Six of Crows is just swamped with amazingly good positive reviews and positive energy, and I'm so afraid that I'm gonna come in and I'm not gonna like it, and I already own this trilogy, and I'm gonna waste my money. Next author is gonna be a hit or miss author for some people. I know she's not loved by a lot of people, but I also know she is loved by a lot of people, and that is Sarah J Maas. I own 4 books of hers, actually 4. I own the prequel to Throne of Glass. I own 2 copies of Throne of Glass, and I own a Court of Crowns and Roses, I think it's called. A Court of Thorns and Roses, sorry. And I want to read all of them. I've actually read the first couple chapters of this when I wasn't in a high fantasy mood. Like back when I first joined BookTube, I saw this at my library, and then I picked it up, and I own this copy of Throne of Glass and this copy of Throne of Glass. Like, I picked this up because I know this is the UK paperback, and they had it at Half Price Books by me, or not by me, but I saw it at a Half Price Books in the area I was in, and I was like, well, how many times am I gonna find a UK copy of a book I'm actually interested in reading? So I was like, well, I'm gonna pick it up even though I already own this copy. And when I was at BookCon, I picked up a signed copy of The Assassin's Blade. So, you know, not really I'm interested, but it's high fantasy and I gotta be in the right mood. and I think I'm gonna try to do it this year. I'm gonna try to get myself through this year. I have a feeling if I can at least get through, like I did in the archive with V.E. Schwab, just get through to a certain point where I get past the introductions, I can do it. I can do high fantasy if I get past the introductions, but I just never let myself get past the introductions for some reason. The next author is another one that scares me, and he did not scare me when I first picked up this first book from him, and it is the only one I own, but he didn't scare me then. Until I watched more videos and watched more booktube and watched different creators, and all of a sudden he's everywhere, and he's a big fantasy guy that I never knew he wrote a lot of fantasy, which now has made this start of a series terrifying to me, and that is Brandon Sanderson. I have actually started Skyward. I was gonna read Skyward for part of my Newt's Readathon, and I actually read just the prequel, and I was interested in it. And I was interested in it last year when I bought it, and now everybody's talking about all his fantasy books again, and I'm sure they were talking about them before. It's not that they weren't talking about them, it just wasn't on my radar, and now it's on my radar, and now it's in my mind that everybody likes Brandon Sanderson, and I'm gonna go into Skyward, and I'm gonna end up hating it, and that is the problem, and nah. And the last author on my list today is the only adult author I have, or like the only just adult author I have. I don't know if he has any young adult books out. And this is one I am planning to tackle next month. I've actually broken down the math of how many pages I need to read a day minimum to finish this in 30 days. And 30 days may seem like a long time to some people, especially when I know Read by Zoe read this book in 25-ish hours, I think she said it was. And that is Stephen King, and the copy I'm holding up of It. Now, most of Stephen King's books are this big. I did read one of his novellas earlier this year, like a short story from him, and I forget what it's called now. I know my dad has the copy in his car, but I do want to read more Stephen King. From what I read, I liked his writing style. I liked the way he narrated his own audiobook, and I have read some of this book. Like, I think I read like maybe like 25, 30 pages of it, maybe 100, and I did enjoy it. The problem is the time commitment for Stephen King books, because he actually really dives in, so you really know his characters, and you know, you better know his characters pretty well in this brick. But I do want to read this. I do want to see what it is about. I have never seen the movie for It. I know who Pennywise is. I know what generally happens, but I don't know how it happens. I don't know what completely happens. I just know who Pennywise is, and I know it has to do with the kid in the yellow raincoat with the paper boat, and that's all I know. That's really all I know. And I think the town's called Drary? I just know it's in Maine. But yeah, like, I'm interested in this book. My dad has loved it. I remember my dad telling me, like, when he read a lot back like in his college days, he started this in one night and finished it within like 3 days. So for me, that means it's good. And I know Stephen King is an author he really loves. I know I still actually pick him up the new releases of Stephen King, even though he's not read any of them since like Finders Keepers, and I bought that for him a few years ago, or whenever it came out. So, you know. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed the quick little video. I completely forgot that I gave myself an upload schedule and a film schedule until this morning when I was on my way out the door to go hang out with my friend. Anyway, I'm gonna head off and edit this video, and I will see you guys soon in the next video. But make sure if you want to see more bookish content from me that you click like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I will see you soon in the next video. Peace.